to another edition of Bunker Lab's Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by the team at Bunker, which is a national network of veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs dedicated to growing our ecosystem. I'm your host, the one and only Iron Mike Steadman, coming to you today from Harlem, joined by my co-host Amy Morrison and our special guest today, Charles Master Rodriguez. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
So I asked before we go live with every guest, I always say, hey, what's a win look like for you with this platform? My man Charles was like, just getting through the day today. And so I got a sense we're going to be talking about the struggle. And on my platform to transition, I always advocate taking off your armor. So I'm going to take off my armor with you as we talk about the importance of self-reflection and, asking you, are you really committed to being successful? So got a great topic for you today. Charles is a West Point grad, a former Army engineer officer, and turned entrepreneur. So he brings a lot of value to the platform today. So before he and I start our conversation, let me go ahead and pass it over to Amy to share any updates that are taking place in the bunker.
Thanks, Mike. So we got we're on a little bit of a come down from Veterans Day. We got some stuff. So just a reminder, the holiday gift guide is up and ready for you to shop. So if you want to get your Christmas shopping or holiday shopping done a little bit early before that Thanksgiving break, check out bunkerlabs.org/marketplace-2023. So we have over 75 unique veteran and military spouse-owned products, and some of those businesses are offering 20% off with a specific Bunker Labs code. So you can check out the website for more information on that. And then veterans and residents applications are open through the 26th. So you can check out the website and get involved in that. That's a 16-week program for, middle, early stage, whatever businesses. So veteran and military spouse-owned businesses get I don't know. Check out the website for more. I can't talk today. I did not get any sleep last night. Sorry, guys. And then last but not least, we've got VIR Showcase coming up the first week of December, December 4th through 8th. And that's going to be happening at 26 cities across the country. And you can check out bunkerlabs.org/veteran-showcase to find a city or location near you. And thankfully, that is all we have this week.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy, for those updates. Without further ado, Charles, man, it's an honor to have you on the platform. Please bring our listeners up to speed on who you are and what you're doing now with MK3 Industries, and then we can start talking about the topic of self-reflection.
Yeah, likewise, Mike. So, basically, MK3 Industries is an innovative wholesale distribution company focused on the automotive industry. We supply the highest quality fleet maintenance supplies, tire equipment, and automotive parts to our valued customers, businesses, and government agencies. So that's a little bit about MK3 Industries and where we're at today.
Me and Charles got to break bread at the Milvet Startup Conference last year, which was super dope. We had a fantastic dinner afterwards, and he read my book and wrote me a review. So we've been kind of chopping it up online, man. And as far as the sake of this platform, you chose the topic of self-reflection. What made you pick that? Because a lot of times people come on here, we want to talk about our businesses, etc. But you wanted to go deep on mindset.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you brought up the Milvet and that dinner because definitely a good meeting in there. Yeah, I think I wanted to talk about self-reflection and entrepreneurship in that because I wanted to target the root of, I would say, you know, the formula of success, right? It's like we're all doing stuff with our business, right? We're all working on, the sales and the marketing strategy and the vision and everything like that. But in the end, who's leading it? Who's executing this entire thing? It's yourself, right? So you have to self-reflect and see, what are your individual strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your pitfalls? What do you need to improve? Um, and that I think will, in the end, lead you to the success that you want because success looks different for everyone, right?
Yeah. Give me one sec, Charles. I'm gonna hop back out and come back in because I'm seeing my screen look a little blurry on the live channel. So I apologize for y'all.
Yeah,
Give me 1 second.
no worries. Oh yeah.
Better?
Oh clear as day.
Perfect. I don't know why, but on the LinkedIn platform, you know how technology works. Um,
Yep.
with regards to this formula, right? So boxing, I feel like I had the formula down, right? Train, fight, win. Make sure I'm showing up to the gym on a consistent basis. I'm getting good sparring partners, right? And I'm taking care of myself mentally, physically, and spiritually training. But the thing is, in sports, right? It's very plain and simple. You get in the ring, you got one opponent, boom. But when I think about entrepreneurship, there's so many variables. You might win at this area on sales, but then you're losing on the operation side of the house, and you're losing on
Yeah.
your personal life. And so it's like, how do you find, that plan for whatever it is to be successful? And I used to eat that stuff up early on, the little Tim Ferriss, the what's the other stuff, Atomic Habits, all that
Hmm.
stuff. Like people have
Yeah.
this perfect routine, but then you start throwing travel, you throw conferences in, and it's just a grind, man. It's hard.
Yeah, and that's why you started. You're like, what do you want to get out of this? So I was like, I just want to get through the day, um, because that's it, right? I have times where my schedule's on point. Like I'm on it. I'm running through it, and then one thing gets thrown in the middle, like a big problem, or let's say it's like like a business travel thing, and it throws off my schedule, right? And it takes one thing to throw off the schedule, and then you start going down the rabbit hole of like, all right, so now you're not putting time into fitness, right? And now you're not feeling good, and that means it's like bleeding into your business. It's all very like cumulative and interconnected, but that's the exciting thing about business is it's so challenging. um but the way I see the formula is I like looking, in terms of self-reflection, I like looking at past, present, future every single day. So I can kind of go in a little detail about that, but every single day I ask myself, all right, past, present, future, what does that look like, to success for me? Um,
That's what I was going
so,
to ask you. How do you define success?
so that's the thing too, right? It's an individual definition. A lot of people, think of success as like, all right, Musk, landing the spacecraft right back on, the Earth, right? But for other people, success is, working a 9 to 5 and having the freedom to, have and spend more time with their family, right? To me, my definition of success is, you know, I want to do something big to where, I can disrupt the industry and maybe change the world. Is that a pretty, unattainable or unrealistic goal? I think I think it might, but sometimes that's what it has to be if you want to do those things. But that's my individual, you know, goal for success. Whereas other people, it could be completely different, and that's okay. But the biggest thing is knowing it, right, and being and accepting that.
I feel like it shifts too, because like you have these different seasons of life, right? So when you first get out the military, you start entrepreneurship, you're in the grind mode, right? Just like you're back at the academy, treat the week, Monday through Friday, you're a damn Spartan. Maybe celebrate a little
Yeah,
bit on the weekend, but by Sunday, you're prepping. You do that, you do that, you do that. But like you said, you're so focused on the business, you look up and you're like, damn, I'm out of shape. When was the last time I went to the gym? You know?
yeah,
And you just
yeah,
it just throws off. And so it's like I'm in this cycle now, and y'all are gonna see on my book rec where I'm like really focused on back in the gym, the mental, because I feel like I'm in more of the grind phase at this point, like I've achieved the lift off, been hooking and jabbing for a few years. And it's like, okay, how do I make sure that like I'm still good? Like I'm still showing up myself. And I feel like my fitness had dropped for a little bit, and I'm really focused on getting that dialed in. So for me, when I think about success too, one thing I always remind myself is like, um, if this is the only day that we have, how can we make the most of it? What's a really
yeah,
good day? Usually involves workout, usually involves helping someone, and usually involves doing meaningful work of some sort. But like you said, when you're locked into your schedule and you're busy, and then you skip the workout and you haven't helped anybody that day, and then you're just in the grind of doing it's the work is meaningful, but let's be honest. Somebody likes to be in spreadsheets all day and doing a little tedious admin stuff. And it can just throw you off your game.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's just like you said, it changes on a daily basis sometimes, right? So that's why it's always important. Like, you know, even the days that are struggle, I always go back to, all right, you know, how was my past? What happened in my past? What's my present? And then, you know, where am I going towards my future? Like, and I ask myself that most every single day. That's kind of like my meditation time where I wake up and 5 minutes and go into it. Because it's just like you said, like right now I'm kind of in the same problem. Like, you know, fitness, especially with the military, like if I'm not, you know, on my fitness, or, you know, if I'm not feeling good, like it really bleeds into everything, my mental state, like, you know, my daily, you know, business schedule, my sleep. Um, so, and the business is doing well right now. It's growing, but that means like I'm more all over the place, right? So like, um, you know, we're going to be hiring our first full time. So now I'm in that awkward phase where I'm doing mostly everything, like inventory manager, like sales, like strategy. So time for fitness is like not there.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why you have to be like, all right, like I have to make the time, or I have to be at least present to where this is my problem. I don't have the schedule right to where I'm not being able to do that. So
Yeah. We ain't in the military no more. We don't get that morning workout. You know, military show up. What y'all probably worked out at 6 a.m. I think Marines was like 7 to 9. 7 to 9 was PT. That's like an hour
yeah,
15 right there. You know, you get your little shower in afterwards, grab breakfast, and then you're back in the company area by that time. But when you're an entrepreneur, man, you got to fight for everything. You know, you be in the
so
gym for
true.
like 2 hours. You're like, what am I doing with my life? Like I'm burning money right now. I need to get out of here.
Exactly. So true. We used to spend like 2 hours plus in the gym. I was like, yes. Like now I'd be lucky if I get 45 minutes and a sweat on. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I got this meeting or I got to do this. Um, and then when you're on the fly, like, you know, your diet obviously goes to hell too. You're like, all
Yeah.
right, Chick-fil-A's over there. I got 5 minutes, you know, I'm gonna go over here. It takes time to meal prep, you know, it takes time to this. I'm a bachelor too, so you know, I don't have any help.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel it completely.
For the audience, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. How are you taking care of yourselves while you're building your business? Now, Charles, I want to ask you something. How has your perception of entrepreneurship changed being on the outside looking in versus being in the day-to-day grind with MK3?
It's a great question. Um, so before I really got into entrepreneurship, I saw I saw success on the outside, right? So I saw successful people. I saw what you could get with success. You know, what you could buy with money, what you could do with this. But I never saw the internal engine of how much work you need to put in for this thing to succeed. Um, and I never understood the sacrifices that you need to make. Like you need to be, especially with some of these goals to where, you know, they're kind of like on the unattainable side, they're huge. You need to be almost obsessed with, you know, making this work and succeeding. Um, and obsession and that success always has a cost to it, right? It's either, you know, your time at the gym, right? So, or it's time with family, or it's you know, sacrificing um, your spending habits, right? Or it's sacrificing your time, like not being able to see, you know, your family and friends, um, going out on weekends. You know, all these things kind of come into play, and at the end, it kind of comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice in order to obtain those goals. If it's not a lot, then you need to reassess it and self reflect and see if that goal makes sense for what you want in your life. But I think that that is the biggest thing that I realized when I really got into the nitty gritty with my company, MK3 Industries, being a bootstrapped business with no outside capital and being a sole founder. Um, in the end, it is a lot of work, and the success and things that you see these entrepreneurs gaining. I mean, blood, sweat, and tears, and years has really gone into, you know, where they're at today. So
There's always this, when you listen to a lot of entrepreneurs, they say, if I would have known how hard this was, I probably wouldn't have done it. Especially for gym owners, because gym owning a gym is the dream. Everybody wants to own their CrossFit, their strength gym, their boxing gym. Then they get it, and they're like, "Wow, I didn't realize that. Like, I got to put the toilet paper in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, I got to make sure the
yeah,
gym is covered at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning." And that reality really starts to set in. I equate it like this, right? Like when you're in the military and you have this dream. Let's say you want to be a Army Ranger or something, right? And even if you're out of shape, right? You set this vision. You have a vision of what it looks like because you have people who've done it before you. There's a pathway and a pipeline, and so you can make it real. But whenever I think about entrepreneurship, I always visualize in my head just a guy with a stickle or a hammer just looking at a pile of rubble. Like that's what it is. And then you've got to build out your dream and your vision literally brick by brick. And when you look at that pile in front of you, it just looks so overwhelming. It looks like borderline impossible. And so it's like, how do you keep yourself moving forward? Right. And you grab a little piece and you just start working, you know? And that's the hard thing to do because, when you're stressing about cash flow, when you're stressing about, losing that potential client that's like 60-70% of your revenue, when you worry about the person that's going to leave 2 to 3 weeks from now, and then how are you going to replace them, right? That creates that anxiety. Like I thought, I never had, maybe I did have it, but it wasn't the same like it is being an entrepreneur, that fight to stay present at all times, even on with you and not worrying about, oh, what do I got to get done when I jump off a podcast or I jump off or whatever. And that's that constant kind of battle.
yeah, no, it's exactly that. I mean, you're handling stuff, basically in the present at all times, but you're also thinking about the future, which is causing anxiety too. You're thinking about the past and some of the failures that you've had before and trying to stay away from those pitfalls. Um, and then, there's always prioritization too, right? Like everything could be going fine. We could be having a conversation right now, and then you get a call and, hey, there's a flood at the gym. All the equipment is and now you're like, all right, problem solving mode, which I think, like, as veteran entrepreneurs, we are much better equipped to handle some of those situations because we've kind of already been through some of those problems, right? And we're able to like handle it in a very, I would say, like, calm but coordinated way. All right, like, this is the problem. This is what we need to do right now. Solve it. I don't need to focus on anything else, right? Because this is the top priority right now. Um, and as soon as that problem's done, you're like, all right, well, where was I? You know? Um, and I respect the hell out of you because, the gym industry and running a gym, there's different industries and they all have their challenges. Running a gym, I feel is probably one of the most challenging. I would say just from what I've seen and from what I've heard. I follow Alex Ramonzi a lot,
Yeah.
and he talks about obviously the gym model, but you got to be passionate about it. So like I said, if you're passionate about it and you're happy about it, then that's definitely where it's at. So.
Now we're gonna transition to book Rex, and I want to talk. So I will talk about fitness as well because we got a little bit more time on that. So, what's your book recommendation?
So I gave one because, like I said, this is the self-reflection side. Atomic Habits is my go-to. I really like it because it's what it really taught me about my environment, and it taught me about habit stacking. And if I have a book next to my nightstand, that means I think about it. And if I think about it, that means I pick it up and I read it, right? Um, and then it's the same thing with my bad habits, right? Like I love TV because it escapes me from my reality of being an entrepreneur and being stressed out. And when I'm like, binging a Netflix series, I realize that it's a problem. So how do I solve that problem? I unplug my TV. It takes effort to plug it back in. I don't want to do it. So then I just leave it. Um, so I would say Atomic Habits is my go-to. Secondaries Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, just because, damn, like you need
Yeah.
so those two I would say.
I love you brought up the whole escapism thing. So like I've been, I'm like 8 weeks, haven't been drinking.
Good
Because
for
for
you,
that
bro.
exact reason. Is that like, oh, people get stressed or whatever. And it's like, what are our natural habits to escape? Whether it's binge watching Netflix or YouTube, you know what I mean? Some people turn to alcohol, some people do all this other stuff. But I think that's where the self-awareness comes from. It's like, why am I actually doing this act? Am I doing this just to relax? Or am I trying not to think about, X, Y, and Z? And so I'm trying
Yeah,
to get better at like sitting with myself and just, you know, being good, being strong. So I think that's one thing that we can all appreciate about being in the military is that like, when you're not taking care of yourself and you're not working out and you're not doing that, there's no way you can feel strong for the uncertainty. Because in the military, you're
yeah,
constantly, especially when you're in operational mode, you're out deployed, etc. It's this state of like constant uncertainty when you're away from the training zone. And so we were always trying to get it in, even if it was 20 minutes or so. My book recommendation is Starting Strength by Mark Ripito. So most people that know me, they know I read a lot of entrepreneurial books, etc. But like I think I'm full. I think I'm oversubscribed on the entrepreneurial literature at this point. Just after like 5 years. So I've really been getting into like kind of strength training and get back in the gym. And one of the things I had to learn how to do was like give myself grace, right? Like we aren't, at the academy, 22 years old, hooking and jabbing. We get 45 minutes, sometimes maybe an hour 15, but not like every day. The hour 15 might be like on the weekend or something. And so it's like, what's the best bang for the buck? And so, I'm big on like more the sustainability aspect of it. And that's why I like Starting Strength because he basically, it's the compound lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, press, and power cleans, right? And then you cycle those throughout. And then I still do a little free weight training there. But like I feel so much better. My confidence is so much higher when I'm getting it in. And I'll be honest, there are days where like I don't want to go to the gym. Mentally, it's like, damn, like why do I not feel motivated to get up and get after it? Because there's a lot on your mind, but I just kind of remind myself of like, what's the saying? Um, you know, you've got to be disciplined about it. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel. You just show up and you start to get it in. And so what I've had to do too is I've had to make my life convenient. So I have my gyms very close to me, so I don't have to travel too far to get there.
yeah. That's awesome. That's smart. Like kind of controlling your environment. But I'm glad you brought up a book that's different from the entrepreneur side, because in the end, you need that too, right? Like
Yeah.
I need to be entertained with what's going on, and sometimes, it's reading a different book and getting on like the multidisciplinary aspect of trying to be a successful person, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And one thing I've noticed too, especially over the last like few months, was, I'm kind of OFP, right? I go to my little CrossFit gym, I do my OFP workout. If you don't know what OFP means, Google it. But there's something to be said about training with other people and talking to other people. Because, that's the other thing is like you can be super isolated, like as an entrepreneur. And what I have found is those club sports, activities, communities, networks. It's great. We got this veteran ecosystem. But when you're back in your small town or local neighborhood and stuff, etc., I think people still need to get out and talk to people, socialize. And so, for me, like even last night when I was at the gym, it was great just talking to some of the other members. We're just smoking and joking, just catching up. And I think that's important for a lot of us, especially on the other side of the pandemic.
yeah, for sure. I think it's also important too to like, you know, notice like what you're in need of too. Like there's sometimes where I, it's always like a balance of the scale. Like if I remain more to myself and don't do the social side, I feel like I'm more in control of my environment and like, the stimuli that comes in. So, if I'm not going out, then I'm drinking less, right? If I'm drinking less, that means my schedule and my sleep and focus is good. But then like, all right, now it's just me. Now I'm feeling kind of like just, not I would say like lonely, but like, uh, I don't know, just like
Isolated.
set apart. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
isolated.
why I call it
Exactly.
isolated.
Yeah. So, and that's bad too, right? Because now you're isolated. You're not talking to people. You're not. I would say like filling your social level of what you need in the daily life. And then you're not learning from other people too, right? It's all kind of just like what you're throwing into the system. Um, but that's definitely needed too.
On Friday, right? Well, here's what I found too is that sometimes when you're in that space, do the opposite of what you normally do. So like if you're feeling isolated and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna stay at home tonight, just freaking go out and see some buddies or something. If there's
Yeah.
an event, go. And like I did it this Friday. There was an event like an hour and a half away. I went to show up to show some support because Veterans Day and stuff. And it was absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. We had a dinner, we broke bread. I stayed out there. It was awesome. And I would normally not do that. I'm like, oh, it's like an hour and a half away. The default answer is like, oh no, I'm good. Maybe next time. But it's so worth it. So for those of you all that are feeling a little bit isolated, change up your routine a little bit. Start incorporating some socialization. Like if you work out alone, start trying to find a group to work out with. And all it takes is action. Just walk out, join the gym, start showing up 2-3 times a week, and boom, you start to build those relationships. Because listen, we're on our screens all day, every day. People are in our little one bedrooms. Well, some of y'all got mansions. My man Charles is down there living his best life in Miami.
I told Mike, this is the social room. This is not my apartment. My apartment looks
Yeah,
like Jeff Bezos when he started the company. There's like writings all over the glass and stuff. It's so
yeah,
um but yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, and then the tribe, bro, you need the tribe. When I
got
left the
to.
military, I was like, I ousted the tribe because I was I didn't like that I left and I wanted to stay in and this and that. And I wanted to explore. And then I realized, damn, I missed the tribe, and I am isolated. So then got back into the veteran community. The mill vet is what brought me back. That's what started this entire, whole thing. So always go back to the tribe too.
Got it. All right. So as we close out here real quick, Charles, go ahead and give our listeners some closing remarks or words of encouragement as they continue on their own entrepreneurial journeys.
You know, like I said, when we started this whole conversation, it's, the entire thing was, I just want to get through the day, right? It really is a daily struggle, right? Every single day, you look at it as a new day. You look at it as opportunities. You look at it as like pitfalls. You look at it as strengths, weaknesses. Um, and the best part about it is it starts over the next day, so even on the bad days, because there will be bad days, you'll have bad days, you'll have mediocre days, and then you'll have the great days. But if there's a bad day, which happens, whether it's personal, business, whatever, the best part is, the sun sets and then the sun rises, and then the next day is just a new day, right? You start it with like a new stimuli, something that kind of keeps you positive and on the go, and you can completely change it. um, so don't let yourself get down on the bad days. Stick with the tribe. um, you know keep everything going, and then also don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. That's a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson, which I really like, because everything that basically you do today, don't really follow the rewards, just follow the good habits, right? So if you stick with your good habits, the rewards will come. They'll come in the future, obviously, but they will come. So that's what
That's
that's what
great.
I would leave everybody with.
I'm writing that down, y'all. I gotta have some notes out. Don't follow the rewards, follow the good habits. Well, Charles, it's been a pleasure to have you on. How can people find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Likewise, Mike. Yeah. So I've LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, just Charles C. Masters. After the LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook, and you guys can find me. Always open to talk to anybody about entrepreneurship or, daily habits or, personal growth. And always looking to, just communicate with y'all.
Love it, man. We appreciate you. For all our listeners, do me a favor. Make sure you show Charles some love online. You can follow him, check out his website, etc. And also want to make sure you check out the Transition Podcast. Got a great sponsor for it, the MetLife Foundation, that makes it possible. So if you like this, make sure you head over and download the Transition and leave us a review on iTunes. Those reviews are super helpful as they allow us to get the word out about the platform. We've got a great back catalog, right? I'm telling y'all, go back and dive into some of them episodes. We've had so many veteran entrepreneurs and military spouses featured. So we appreciate y'all. Until next time, peace, love. Have a great rest of your week.